War. It's a story as old as humanity itself, isn't it? Brutal, relentless, and just always there. So, what's really at the heart of it? What is it that truly drives us to fight? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. So, in this explainer, we're really going to unpack the deep-seated causes of conflict. We'll trace how it's evolved, from ancient swords all the way to modern AI, and we'll even take a peek at where it might be headed next. So where do we even begin? Well, it all starts in one place, the human mind. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. To really get a handle on war, we have to go way back. We're talking over 2,000 years ago to the Greek historian Thucydides. He basically argued that every single conflict, no matter how complicated it seems on the surface, boils down to just three primal drivers. And those are fear, honor, and interest. Yeah, at its absolute core, every war starts with a kind of psychological spark. It's this built-in human impulse, this tendency towards aggression. And then you mix that with a really deep-seated fear of what or who we don't understand. That combination, that right there is the raw fuel for conflict. And this is where things get really interesting. See, those individual feelings, they don't just stay inside one person's head. You take that fear, that drive for honor, that self-interest, and you scale it up. You multiply it by millions of people, and suddenly it completely transforms. It becomes national policy. It fuels a country's desire to expand. It sparks fights over resources. And yeah, ultimately, it leads to these massive clashes over whose beliefs and whose worldview gets to dominate. Okay, so here's the thing. Those core motivations, fear, honor, interest, they pretty much stayed the same for thousands of years. But the battlefield, wow, that has changed in ways our ancestors could have never imagined. So let's trace that evolution, shall we? I mean, it all started with straight-up territorial conquest, right? Think of Alexander the Great just spreading his empire across a known world. Then, fast forward to the medieval era, and war starts getting fueled more and more by faith. The Crusades, for instance, were all about ideological control of holy lands. From there, it just escalated, leading to the 20th century's terrifying idea of total war, where literally entire nations, civilians and all, became part of the war machine. And now? Well, as we look to the future, we are right on the edge of another totally radical shift. And this slide, wow, it just brilliantly illustrates that fundamental shift in the ethics of war. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have these ancient codes of conduct, like the prophetic rules from early Islamic warfare, which, for their time, were absolutely revolutionary. They set clear limits. Don't harm non-combatants, don't destroy crops or livestock. The whole idea was to preserve life beyond the battlefield. And then, you look at the other side. The modern doctrine of total war, where basically everyone and everything is considered a legitimate military target. It's a night and day difference. That shift from protecting civilians to actively targeting them was such a dark turning point in human history. But here's a chilling thought. What if the deadliest wars are the ones you can't even see? Because as our technology got more and more advanced, the fight expanded. It left the physical world and moved into these unseen realms, the battlefield of the human mind, our digital lives, and even our most essential resources. So let's dive into that. Let's explore these hidden fronts, these, modern conflicts where you can actually win a war without ever firing a single shot. Okay, so welcome to what experts call fifth-generation warfare. This is where the game completely changes. The main target, it's not your body, it's your mind. Remember how Thucydides talked about fear as a driver for war? Well, this is that fear, but weaponized on a global scale. The whole goal is to defeat your enemy in their head before a single soldier ever steps on the battlefield. And look, the basic idea isn't new. The Mongols were building towers of skulls to do the exact same thing centuries ago. Total psychological terror. But today's weapons, they're way more subtle. We're talking sophisticated propaganda, movies and news designed to shape how you see the world. And, of course, digital deepfakes and disinformation campaigns designed to make a country's people turn on their own leaders. But it goes even deeper than the mind. There are these silent wars being fought right now over the very building blocks of our existence. We're talking about covert conflicts over things like clean water and good farmland. We're talking about struggles for genetic dominance, just horrible campaigns to erase an entire people. And so tragically, we're talking about using real-life battlefields as live testing labs for the next generation of weapons. And maybe the most brutal tactic of all is artificial famine. It's a weapon that doesn't fire a single bullet, but it can starve an entire population from the inside out. So, All of this, it brings us to a really profound and honestly a pretty difficult question. After all of this destruction, after centuries and centuries of this, is there any point to it all? Can there be some kind of higher meaning in this seemingly endless cycle of conflict? Well, it's interesting. Some philosophical and religious traditions actually look at righteous conflict as, well, kind of like a necessary surgery. The idea is that it's painful, for sure, but sometimes it's the only way to remove a deep corruption that has taken hold, all in the hopes of restoring balance and justice to the world. But that sense of a higher purpose, it can be lost so easily. And this ancient prophecy, man, it feels so chillingly modern. It perfectly describes the proxy wars we see today, doesn't it? Where soldiers are turned into pawns in some huge geopolitical chess game, fighting and dying for reasons they might not even fully understand. It's conflict completely stripped of its meaning. And that really brings us to this crucial duality of war. It truly is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, yeah, an external threat can forge this incredible sense of national unity and kickstart unbelievably rapid technological innovation. But, and this is a huge but, those perceived benefits always come at a devastating cost. We're talking about the collapse of moral values, the destruction of family systems, and the absolute ruin of our natural world. So where do we go from here? Well, looking ahead, that battlefield is shifting yet again. Future wars probably won't be fought over land anymore. No, they'll be fought for control over our digital infrastructure in cyberspace and for total supremacy in outer space. And more, they're going to be fought by autonomous AI. We're talking robotic soldiers and intelligent drone swarms. And that is the unsettling future of war. A truly faceless conflict, where human beings are just reduced to data points on a screen, and where huge moral decisions are just outsourced to an algorithm. When those ancient drivers, fear, honor, interest, become nothing more than lines of code, you have to wonder, what does that mean for our shared humanity? Are we reaching the final, most impersonal chapter of humanity's oldest and bloodiest story?